All right, happy Tuesday, everybody. This is Brett Thompson, Thompson Law Group. We're going to do another installment of the Teaching Tuesday. I've had a lot of questions about assignment contracts, commonly referred to wholesaling. How does that work? What does that look like? So let's talk about the structure for wholesaling. So we're going to start with a house. This, guys, is a house. All right, boom. I'm going to put a window in here. All right, obviously that's the house. So this house is in disrepair, okay? It's kind of run down. The seller is very motivated. The seller just wants to get rid of this house, all right? So let's say on a good day, the house is worth $100,000, all right? An investor comes along and says, hey, I will buy this house for $90,000 because there's so much work to be done. The seller says, fine, I'm going to sell you the house for $90,000. So we got the seller here, and we have a buyer, all right? And they enter into a contract, okay, for $90,000. Now this buyer is an investor, and he's got a network of friends who are also investors, house flippers, renters. So he markets this contract to all of his friends. And he tells his friend that, hey, I got a great deal on this house. I will sell you my contract for $10,000, all right? So we've got we'll call this the second buyer, all right, the second buyer. The first buyer sells the contract to the second buyer for $10,000, okay? Therefore, the second buyer has stepped into the shoes of the first buyer, okay? He now is the recipient in the contract, all right? So now the contract is between the seller and the second buyer, all right? So at closing, the seller conveys the property by a deed, okay, to the second buyer for the $90,000, okay? So in this scenario, the second buyer acquires the house. He closes for the $90,000. At closing, in addition to that, he pays the first buyer the $10,000. So this first buyer made a quick $10,000, all right? And what's the advantage of that? Well, the first buyer did not have to actually close on the purchase, so the first buyer did not have to expend any closing costs, didn't have to pay for recording taxes. There's no carrying costs of taxes and insurance, all right? So this first buyer, he lands a contract with the seller who's motivated. He finds a friend that will buy the contract. He sells the contract to the friend for 10 grand. The friend pays the 10 grand to the wholesaler, and he closes on the property for the $90,000. So that's the structure, if you will, for wholesaling or assignments. So this buyer has stepped in the shoes of the original buyer, and he has closed on the contract for $90,000. So in a nutshell, that's a very, that's a summary of how it works, guys. Wholesaling. It's a lot of investors in Hampton Roads and Virginia do this type of thing. So if you have any further questions, just reach out to us at the Thompson Law Group, and have a great day.